What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the ghost of Yotei kind of drama, I guess. I think that's a pretty good word to describe it, right? That's going on online. It's a little bit predictable, gotta be real, at least some of it is, and something I want to talk about here. Now, you can, of course, let me know in the comments. I know that, I get people of all different walks of life here, and I'm sure there's going to be people that disagree, and I want to just say that, I'm here to respect what you have to say, as long as you respect what I have to say, and as long as we kind of all respect each other. I think that part is kind of lost, in the general discussion of it. So, okay, what does this really where does it all break down? Well, I think there's a couple different groups, and I think to be the most fair, which I really try to do in all of these, I guess political, but also culture warsy type topics. I don't do them all that much on the channel, but when I do, I try to examine, different sides of things. So, with that being said, to be fair to all the sides, I think we have to break it down, right? There is, I think, just one group of people that don't want it to be a girl, right? And I think that is the one that is the hardest to get behind. And actually, I just don't get behind it in general, right? That's where I come from. If you disagree, you disagree, I suppose. But, I've seen clips, I've seen responses on Twitter. Again, there are different groups. I'm not trying to lump people all into the same thing, okay? You just got to follow me along here. But the people that are just simply mad that it's a girl and that they don't want to play as a girl, those people, I don't even know what to say. I'm not going to waste too much time. I really try to never waste too much time with the kind of the biggest over exaggerations, in the same way with Assassin's Creed Shadows, of the people that, again, there's different groups and there's reasons why some people don't like Yusuke, but if you don't like him because he's black and you don't want a black character in gaming, again, those people, what are you going to say to them? Truly, what are you supposed to say other than really not giving them a ton of time of day? And that's what I would say for this exact same group. I would say the same thing. There's not much to say for people that just don't want a girl in a game, right? And sadly, those people are out there. It's actually shocking, legitimate people that just see it and say, I don't want to play as a girl. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I'm not saying one is better than the other. In fact, I try to think of everybody equally, right? But there's incredible games that are led by females. I can give you even one modern one in a Plague Tale. Plague Tale Innocence, Plague Tale Requiem. Amicia is freaking phenomenal. I'm always talking about Life is Strange. Max Caulfield. You can go down the list. There's so many of them. And I honestly feel like you're almost doing yourself, again, I guess don't let me tell you what to do, but I think you're doing yourself a disservice by limiting it to one side and saying, I'm only going to play games with men, or I'm only going to play games with women. Either one, actually, both of them is equally bad. If you're out there saying, hey, I only play games with girls, I feel like you are also, eliminating so many amazing games out there. In the same way, I would say the same thing here, okay? So let's leave that part aside. That's one part of it. Next part of it is, I would say, the person that is playing this character, right? And this does get a little bit more complex, at least. Now, I know next to nothing about her, truly. I know she's pretty popular. She's pretty famous. She's done a lot of voice work. In fact, I think she's Rook in Dragon Age: The Veilguard, upcoming. I know she's in Critical Role and, other stuff. Pretty popular. And I think that is also kind of important to remember, where it's nobody's really had a problem with her, up until this point. At least maybe. Maybe people have, found some of her tweets before. And so now, I guess the discussion is more about the person versus the character, although those two things can be intertwined. And this is where I guess I get it a little bit more, but I'm still siding on the side of I would need to see a whole lot more to be swayed to go to the other way. And what I'm basically coming at, she's an activist of minorities and all sorts of other things, and that's fine. I have nothing against it. Where I stand on it is actually, again, pretty simple. You do you. You be your own person. I'll be my own person. We leave each other alone, or we talk, and it doesn't matter who we are. That's pretty much how I try to live my life, okay? So from that perspective, I don't think there's anything wrong there. I don't think her being a certain, whatever it might be, right? Her putting herself in a circle, I don't think that sets off an alarm for her character or the story or Sucker Punch. And I think that is the part that gets people. And now look, again, this is the part where I'd be a little bit more lenient. I would say I can understand it if it gets in the way of the game. Now, personally, I've only seen one tweet from this person that's really been anything somewhat alarming, and I think she went after the Hogwarts Legacy crowd. She talked about Harry Potter and the inclusivity of it and all that jazz. I'm not a big fan of that. We've talked about Hogwarts Legacy, 1,000 times, so I don't agree with that. But again, I want to say, like, I'm kind of on Sucker Punch's side here, and I'm willing to just let it go. Like, I don't really care what people say on their Twitter. I don't really care what people think. Here's what I do care about. I care about the game that we're expected to purchase, right? So now if this person, of Erica, right, as we're leading into the game, if she's going to be like combative with everybody online, then it starts to become more of a problem. If these kind of things start to invade Ghost of Tsushima, but you're there to tell Ghost of Yotei's story, and there's politics kind of in everything. There's agendas kind of in everything. It's just how well are they hidden / do they not even matter? Are they kind of absorbed in just what makes the game good in the first place? That's kind of where I stand. Like, tell a good story, tell a good character, or make a good character, make a good game. Doesn't really matter. I mean, if you want to have other stuff in there as well, knock yourself out. But if the game itself isn't good and everything is about, say, the agenda, then that is where I would start to draw the line as well, right? I think in terms of the drama online right now, people are kind of, at least some people, kind of cutting it off a little too short, right? They see the girl and they say, oh my God, I don't want to play as a girl. They see the girl, they see the actress, and they say, nope, because of who she is, who she identifies as, right? They say, nope, can't have that in the game. Well, like, how do you know? How do you know that made its way into the game, or how important that's going to be? Another thing, I was thinking about this earlier today, and I wanted to remind myself in my head to say it out loud. To those people, okay, and I think this is the more bigger base. I think there's more people that think like this. I have a message, okay, and it's really kind of a message for everybody. If you think of politics, you think of agendas, you think of any of that kind of stuff in Hollywood and games, etc., okay, I want you to think of something that might be alarming but also might reassure you, right? So many people in Hollywood and in gaming think a certain way. We've actually talked about this. Game journalists, and I'm not saying left versus right. I don't care. I don't care what you believe. I don't care where you stand. But most people in at least Western gaming, development, Western gaming journalism, they are part of one group, right? So if you don't like that, it's kind of too bad, and I don't care. Again, like, I don't care where you stand, but it's kind of too bad because that's just the way that it is. And for those that are afraid, oh, well, this person identifies as this, or this person says this stuff, that, and all that, you look at a game that's got, say, 500 people working on it. You think that all of them are these, like, number one, perfect people, but number two, you think all of them stand for exactly the same things that you stand for. See, I actually kind of think that makes it more fun. I think... Actually, it's something I don't think about. To be flat out honest with you, I don't consider it because, again, I will default back to always my main point. I only care about the product. I don't care what you identify as. I don't care what you think. I don't care who you're voting for. I don't care your beliefs or anything like that. Especially in this universe, I care about the game that you're making. So for those that are afraid that, and this actually, honestly, this should go for me too, even going back in the day with Hogwarts Legacy, if you see one person say this or one person think that, well, like, what about the other 300, 400, 500 people working on these games? You don't have a clue who they are. You don't have a clue what they believe in or think. You could hate them. If you met them on the street, you could hate these people, and yet they made maybe your game of the year. I don't know who made, I know some people, not personally, but you know people that made Life is Strange. I know people who made Kingdom Hearts, so you can name them. I don't know how they are in a day-to-day life. They might not be the greatest people. They might be cranky. They might be worse than cranky, right? But, like, they made the game. That's really all. I'm willing to, like, draw the line there and say I don't really care, about that next part of it. So I know I harped on it for a long time, but I honestly feel like it's important. I don't think I talk about this that much on the channel anymore, so I kind of just wanted to throw this out, in a video. Again, like, yeah, if the game is poisoned, if the game all of a sudden is not Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of, if it's not Ghost anymore, then yeah, I think we rightfully call it out. But here's the positive part. Here's kind of where I want to end this video. Sucker Punch has given me no reason to, to say, oh, they've lost it. I know you can maybe have a lack of trust in the gaming industry, or some people do, some people don't. I mean, I don't think the gaming industry is going necessarily in the right way. You could look at PlayStation studios, and they're kind of up and down nature, at least some of them. But, like, for me specifically, Sucker Punch is one of the best. Not just one of PlayStation's best, one of the industry's best. And also, I'd like to throw this in, too. This is something I think people have kind of forgotten in the last 48 hours, right? There were so many people celebrating for 4 years Ghost of Tsushima. And it wasn't all, by the way, because of Jin Sakai. In fact, most of it wasn't because of him, although he was a big part of it. But another big part also was the respect. You remember the ambassador thing that Sucker Punch was like became an ambassador to Japan. They were like given that award or whatever it was because of the respect, because of how they couldn't believe how well the story was told and the respect that was done to like just the Japanese history. That is something that you really, really have got to remember. At least I will say that out loud, or I guess I can speak for myself. If you ever doubt Sucker Punch and you say, oh, well, all of a sudden they're this or they're that, there's really no evidence. There's really no evidence. In fact, there's only evidence that up until this very point, they have been some of the most, I mean, honestly, and not to get into Assassin's Creed drama in a Ghost of, Yotei drama video, but, and by the way, saying Yotei instead of Tsushima is very difficult, maybe because I've said it so much, but not to get into AC stuff, but you look at how Ubisoft has handled things, and you look at how the Japanese kind of backlash and all that jazz, and just, the way that they're kind of respecting, Japanese history versus the way Ghost of Tsushima has. You tell me which one has done like a better job. You tell me who has the backing of not just the consumers and fan base, but also like governments and and like officials and things like that. Which one? And it's only one of them. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I stand. I mean, again, the final thoughts, finishing thoughts. I think some people just jumped the gun. I think some people kind of exposed themselves, I think is the right term, right? Other people, like, yeah, some games are bad, and some games have messaging that is right in front of your face, and, and we've talked about those games on the channel as well, but for me personally, she's an actress. She can do whatever she wants. She can identify. She can talk, anything like that. She's acting. And from what I've been, what I've seen, what I've been told, all that kind of stuff, she seems like an incredibly good actress. So as of now, I have no reason to doubt anything about the game as long as it is the game. And it goes back to what I constantly say, like, they got to put the game first. Same thing with Hogwarts Legacy. There was so much yelling. It was mainly, that was outside of it, I guess. But again, like, you don't know who's inside Hogwarts Legacy making that game. Maybe there were people making Hogwarts Legacy that agreed with the outcries of it. Ultimately, it didn't really matter. You know what I mean? So that's just something, I don't know. You just got to think of it or don't, because oftentimes I never think of it. And if I do think of it, again, depending on who you are or where you stand, it might make you feel better or worse. It's like, well, if you're mad that she's like some sort of online activist, you might be mad at the entire gaming industry because a lot of them are activists. And I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong. I don't really care what they do on Twitter. I don't really care what they do just in general, but I do care when I'm buying their product and they're expecting me to buy their product. I'm expecting a good product. So whatever the product ends up being, then I care about, their work ethic and their talent level in terms of making the game. Then I care. But anything else I don't really think about. But, just to kind of remember or not remember that, I don't think of it. But if you do think of it, it's like, well, most games are fine. Most games strike the right balance of people that are working on it are individuals. They can believe whatever they want. They can say whatever. You say whatever you want. I say whatever I want. Nobody really cares until it's that, that consumer kind of relationship. In the case of gaming, that's when people will care. So that's just something to keep in mind. We'll see the end product. But right now, as I said in yesterday's video, Sucker Punch has my trust. Like, I got to see, even from the trailer looked great. There's nothing right now that, like, signals, oh my God, this is bad. You got to wait. Like, you got to see gameplay. You got to see all sorts of stuff, and you might have to see the base game. Until that point, I'm not willing to say, they're screwed or anything like that. And I said this a couple times, whether it was on Twitter, maybe to comments on yesterday's video on YouTube. The biggest way to kind of like win these arguments or shut the right people up, depending on where you stand, is just for the game to be good or bad. Like, for me, all this game needs to do is just be good. If the game is good, everything else washes away. Like, yeah, there'll be drama. There's always drama. Astrobot had freaking drama. Every game nowadays has console warrior stuff, if it's a console warrior thing, or exclusive whatnot, or if it's got just a smidge of politics or people that can be identified as something, then you have that kind of drama. Almost every game has that nowadays, and the best way for all that stuff to just melt away, at least for me, is the game to come out and just be good or bad. Because if the game is good, people maybe can still argue, but if the game is good and it sells good, none of that stuff actually matters. If the game is bad, it is what it is. Or if the game doesn't sell well, you make your point that way. The game succeeds or it fails, and you hope that they learn the lessons, based off that. So just something to keep in mind. You let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.